We have with us Dr. Daniel Etim Obot, a renowned expert in disaster risk reduction and management. Now, Dr. Obot is a chairman, Network for Supporting Disaster-Affected Community, and former director, Disaster Risk Reduction, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Obot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
First, let me say very great good morning to Nigerians over there, and also to extend my condolences to the families in Mokwa that have lost their loved ones due to this flood incident.
All right, Doctor. Using Mokwa as our peg, first of all, NEMA brought out predictions talking about, this rainfall and flash flooding. We see flooding every year. When will we learn?
For me, Nigeria should be very lucky. Why do I say so? Because flooding is the major disaster affecting our country. And flooding is predictable. So if something can be predicted, why don't we take precautionary measures before that prediction will become a reality? So that is why I'm saying Nigeria is very lucky, because flood can be predicted. That means we have ample time and opportunity to put measures in place. There are two measures that should be put in place, what we call structural measures and unstructural measures. To my knowledge, in Nigeria, through NIMET, NEMA, NISA, have done much on what we call unstructural measures. That is by sensitizing the communities, the states, and all Nigerians. I'm aware, I think early January or February, NIMET sent out the seasonal climate prediction.
Yes.
That warrants NISA to start making arrangements and also to give its outlook on the areas that this flood will be affected. I'm also aware that NEMA has conducted stakeholders consultative meeting to bring together institutions, stakeholders that will have ideas, issues that are involved in disaster management in the country through what we call implications of seasonal climate prediction and flood outlook. They look at those documents and try to work out what will be the implications on health, on infrastructure, on aviation, on agriculture, and so many areas. Then, based on the picture that CASA put up, you can see that area is highly and densely populated. You can see structures being knitted together, and you can see that the water is flowing in between structures and the whole settlement. To me, that gives an idea that that area is likely to be a flood-prone area. And if that is the case, what should be the solution? Either the state government or both the federal, state, and local government should look at the source of that flow. Try to see how drainage system can be constructed from the source to divert water from that area. Now it is late. That can be handled now against the next year rainy season. Look at the source. Where that water, where is it coming from? How do you channel it from that area, maybe to a wetland, or maybe where there is an existing drainage system for it to flow into it and flow to an unoccupied area. Alternatively, if that cannot be done, that means there is the need to relocate the people from that place. And that will lead to, in a broad area or more broader perspective, looking at urban renewal. When you come up with urban renewal, you are now resetting that environment so that when the flood comes next year or in any other period, what we are experiencing now will not take place.
So I'll take it from where you made mention of a certain solution that can be done. Of course, yes, it's not possible, for this year till, yes, after the rains are gone for next year. But interestingly, the Niger state government had secured a $10 million World Bank facility. Now, what was that money meant for? It was meant to address gully erosion in Mokwa just 5 months before the flood. Mm-hmm. What role do you think infrastructure development plays in mitigating flood disaster, and how can it be improved? And again, do you think that the governor of Maiduguri should be asked questions? Because I know for sure that funds were being, given last year. The contributions were made from last year's flood. So why are we still having the same problem this year?
Yes, you have mentioned that the World Bank facility 5 months ago was given to the Niger state. Mm-hmm. The release of that money is likely to take some time for the actual cash to get to the government for an activity to be undertaken. So to me, 5 months ago will be too short for this money based on the processes that will be involved, and it will also require procurement activities for this money to be released for main activity to be carried out. So I may say, I'm not holding forth for the state government. I may say a short time should be given to the state government to have this money. Maybe before the year runs out, we should look into it again. By this time, I hope this money should have been in our hands. What have been outlined for this? That facility should be used for urban renewal, although I don't know what areas, but as far as it is for erosion control, now it has happened in Mokwa. So to me, Mokwa should be the first target point based on what we have at hand for that money to be deployed to.
Okay.
Then going to the funds of last year, if there has been funds released by the federal government to states last year, that means it is the role of the media to ask questions. What are the activities? How much was given to each state, not Niger state alone? Mm-hmm. What are the activities associated with flooding that this money has been deployed into? So those are issues that we should look at.
All right. You were once in NEMA. And one thing we talk about is preparedness, provision of manpower, funding, technology. In your experience, how equipped is NEMA? Because by the time flooding starts, when the rain starts, we still have Kogi. And I'm pretty sure if we have a government that should be as proactive as it should be, there's Kogi coming, there's Benue coming, there's Anambra coming, there's Bayelsa coming. How ready is NEMA to handle this, in your experience so far? And what are the challenges that's always been faced when it comes to handling flooding issues? Where are we missing it?
Yes, where we are missing and what NEMA has been doing over the years. NEMA is not statutorily assigned to undertake structural measures. As I mentioned before that there are structural measures.
Yes.
This flood, although not in Mokwa, in other places, happened last year. NEMA, good enough, I was in office by that time. We undertook what we call downscaling of early warning alerts. We led teams to nearly all the states. We were there with guidelines, what the states should do, what the local government should do, what individuals, different institutions.
Hold on, were they implemented? Mm-hmm.
That is where I'm going to.
Okay.
That if NEMA has gone out and has been going out to give this information, to give these advisories, so it's left for us to audit the responsibilities of other tiers of government. How they have been utilizing these strategies, we call it disaster risk reduction strategies. Because we believe that we should not be allowing disaster to happen. Then we go for the remedial measures, the humanitarian measures. Disaster risk reduction entails prevention, entails preparedness, entails mitigation, entails adaptation. What do we do? So these messages were given last year. So to me, if the messages that were given last year, there are strategies that NEMA rolled out last year were implemented, probably the level of flood we are seeing this year will not be there. I'm happy that some states take measures. Sometime I was in Kano, I saw drainages being opened, new ones created, and I read in a paper one time that a white state governor was going around in the state to visit flood-prone areas, and he gave directives for drainages to be constructed where none existed, and the old ones to be cleared. So if some other states are doing this, and I'm not, let me say not if some other states, probably I may not have information on all the states, but if this is being taken seriously and states are involved, the level of what we are seeing today should not be there. NEMA is statutorily assigned to give out these messages, and we have been doing that. Okay. But what is lacking is the compliance level.
And political willpower.
And the political will to ensure that these stages of disaster risk reduction and DRR strategies are implemented. And I will probably call on NEMA that they should not end its activities after giving these DRR strategies. There should be a forum to get feedback. For instance, we are now in the rainy season.
Okay.
And the rains will stop around October, November, December. I think NEMA between December and January should start to liaise with states whether the DRR strategies that were given out, how far are the implementation level, so that by 2026,
the feedbacks will, help them go.
So that by 2026, there should be a step further to reducing the level of destruction and the impact on the people, society, and everything. Thank you.
Okay, so let's look at climate change. There's no way you talk about flooding that climate change does not come to play. And then also we have, several seminars, several workshops, awareness concerning climate change and how people should be aware of climate change. I know some state governors too are also, embracing climate change, talking about the Castina state governors and other governors as well. So climate change, which is being cited as a major factor in extreme weather events, how can Nigeria better prepare for and respond to climate-related disasters like flooding?
There are issues that are beyond human control. Climate change is a natural phenomenon. So what we should do is for us to define adaptation strategies. As we are talking now, there is what we call Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction going on in Geneva, Switzerland. It's a 4-year conference. The last one took place in 2022 in Bali, which I attended. When the Prime Minister of Indonesia came to address during the opening ceremony, he noted that his country is synonymous to earthquake, that he cannot relocate his country to another country. So that case, that his country and his responsibility is to design adaptation strategies. Funds involved in studying earthquake, which is the major problem there. So the climate change is a phenomenon that we don't have control over it. But how do we make measures to address the outcomes of the climate change, like the extreme weather? What does it come with? It comes with health issues. How is Ministry of Health, NCDC, are planning to contain the health-related issues that will emanate from the climate change impact. The flooding we are talking about is the impact and outcome of climate change. How do we prepare for that? How do we make measures? Drought is an outcome of climate change. How do we prepare for that? So climate change as a phenomenon is beyond human control. So what we are to do is to look at the outcomes of the climate change and see how we can address them, how we can adapt to some of these outcomes, because we have to stay with them.
Yeah, I like the points where you made, saying that the minister said he cannot relocate the entire country.
The president of Indonesia.
Yes. They're stead on an earthquake, which makes absolute sense. Because when we talk about preparedness, we always talk about relocating the communities whom that is their ancestral home. They really, really honestly cannot move or shouldn't even move. So we've had, let's talk about financial costs. Let's dwindle down now to the solutions. Let's talk about the financial, cost of all of this, from budget allocations to, simple, what are those basic measures that community leaders and even people and state governments can do to mitigate flood in flood-prone areas, from the coastal regions to those around the River Niger and Benue Basin to, other parts of the country, those who are near the dams. We have Lagdo Dam coming soon. Yeah. Whether we like the Lagdo will release its water and we'll still experience another set of flooding. So, what are those low-cost measures that people can undertake to, at least protect themselves?
I will look at the flooding situation in Nigeria from three perspectives. The one that will result from the release of water from Lagdo Dam, the urban floods, river floods that we have, the one that will come from upstream, that is from our neighboring countries of the northwest. So if this water is coming from that upstream, coming to states like Sokoto, Kebbi, to Niger, and it will run down up to Kuki Delta Bayelsa. To me, what should be done is, what should be activity, structural and engineering activities at these states, even if they are at micro level, so that if the water phase comes to Sokoto in Nigeria, what do we do there? Then when the water comes to Kebbi, if we have taken measures in Sokoto, the volume of water that will come to Kebbi will be less. Yes. The water volume that will come to Niger will be less. As it's going to the estuary, activities should be carried out. So if these activities are carried out at this state level, at these states, to me, the level of destruction and the impact from the lower ones will not. That is, if something has happened in Sokoto, the level of water and the impact in Kebbi will not be much. Then from Kebbi to Niger, if activity of small buffer dams are created in Kebbi, Sokoto, the level of water in Niger will not be much. So as we are going down the downstream, the level of water, the volume of water will be reducing. So that should be another measure.
So buffer dams, you said?
Yes, should be taken. This even will help agriculture. If these water are held up in the dry season, can release for dry season farming in some of these states. There are some crops that should be dry season, crops when they are planted. So you look at the Lagdo case, I think it's no longer news that when Lagdo Dam was built, Nigerian government, based on the literature I read, was advised
to have a buffer dam.
To have buffer dams. So if that have been, if buffer dams have been created, constructed, the water from there to Cross River, Benue, Taraba, and those states on that course will not be much. Then you look at the flash floods, river floods into the hinterlands, into the cities. You have to bring in science, bring in studies. If the Mokwa flood, what are the environmental factors that promote flooding? You are here as a newscaster or broadcaster. What are the factors that enable you to do your work? There must be some factors. So what are the factors that are promoting flood in some of these areas? We have to look at the environmental issues, the behavioral pattern of the people, the terrain, the landscape, the topography, where are the wetlands in some of these places that we can channel water into it. So there should be urban renewal where you realign drainage patterns, where town planning authorities will come in enforcing building of structures not in flood-prone areas or waterways.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Clearing of the drainages and small activities at the local level.
Yes,
I was during Easter, in my place, there was rain. And almost a kilometer from where the rainwater was going to, state government has constructed a drainage system. So I told the young boys in that place, spend time, create a pathway for water, link it to that drainage system that the government has constructed, so that you people by this side of the route will be comfortable. So there are small things at local government, at community level, everywhere that should be done, so that the impact and the effect of flooding in Nigeria should be minimized. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Obot, for coming on the Daybreak Show to share your thoughts on the topic at hand. Time is way so we have to, yes. So we have to, move on. Thank you so much for coming once again.